To always get the latest Game Tea, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us at Twitter at Game Tea Podcast X. You can find us on Facebook at The Game Tea Podcast. And you can find us on Instagram at The Game Tea Podcast. We post frequently, giving you podcast updates, posting gaming news, and the occasional meme. Check them out after the show, and thank you so much for listening to the Game Tea Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Game Tea Podcast. My name is JP.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Czar.
All right, so as promised from the last episode, we are doing everybody's favorite game show on the Game Tea Podcast, Rate That Rating.
Rate that rating!
Rate that rating.
Yeah, that's what I said, Zach. Rate that rating. So, if you don't remember the last time we did this, it was actually funny because Zach and I were here. Czar, what was it you were doing? Weren't you off doing stuff for your wedding?
I was at an impromptu wedding and doing stuff for my wedding. It was a wedding that happened in the matter of 3 or 4 days.
That's right, but while you were gone, Zach's wife, Krista, actually joined us for that episode. Do you remember that's where we called you like a grass type and you got all mad at us?
I was mad at you guys. I am not a grass type user.
Oh, like there's anything wrong with grass type Pokemon.
There's everything wrong with grass type Pokemon, but that is not for this episode.
No, I want to talk about that. Oh, okay, fine. In case you forgot how we play Rate That Rating, here's how it goes. Each host needs to pick one of their favorite games and give it a fair, honest review with a score at the end of that review. Once the host gives the game a review, they will go into Metacritic to look at the best and worst reviews and the comments made by other reviewers to laugh, cry, and shout in a hilarious manner. I think we can manage that.
I cry all the time.
Me too. Sometimes in the shower.
Crying is my favorite hobby.
That has to go on my resume.
Professional crier.
All right. There's not a whole lot else to say about that. What do you guys say we jump right into it?
Let's do it.
Party time, boys.
All right. So my game I am doing this week is a little cult classic called Undertale. Now, first things first, have either of you played Undertale?
I have seen it, but I have not played it.
I have it downloaded.
Yeah, I know because I bought it for you. And
I've talked to the goat thing.
her name is Toriel.
And she's a goat thing, correct?
Yeah, but she has a name.
I think the name you're looking for is Satyr.
No, it's a goat. It's definitely a goat.
Okay, so Undertale is my game of the week. Now, like I said, it's got a pretty big cult following. It's a funny game because it's known for having one of the most toxic fan bases out of all video games that were in circulation at the time. Genuinely, we talked a few days ago about Markiplier Czar. The first episode Mark put out of playing Undertale, he was bitched at in the comments so much by people who loved the game and were fans that he never put out another series until about 2 years later. He gave the game another go through, but the fans were so awful to him that they turned him off of the game.
Damn, I did not know that. That is terrifying.
Yeah, it really was. The fan base for this game is very toxic. But I'm a strong believer in just because you got a bad fan base does not mean that the game is bad. In fact, if you remember my top 10 video, Undertale made it on that game.
Yeah, it did.
So let's go over a little bit of a review. Why was I interested in the game? Undertale's big shtick is that it's an RPG where you don't have to kill anybody. So you battle people, but you have two options in the game. You can kill the monsters, or you can befriend them through fun little separate activities that you can do in the battle sequence to make it so you don't actually hurt them, but befriend them. And I found that concept really, really interesting. Essentially, there's two different ways you can play the game. If you decide to kill everybody, you do what's called the genocide route. And just for a little context, Czar, that's the route that Markiplier started on at the beginning of the game, and that's why he got yelled at by the fans. To be fair, I hate killing things, and I like to be all happy and fluffy, so my first instinct wasn't to kill if I didn't have the option. It was to befriend. But just having the choice, I found that incredibly interesting. That's why I was interested in the game. So the graphics and the art style. The big inspiration for Toby Fox for the game was the Earthbound series. If you guys remember that, that's the game where Ness and Lucas are from.
Oh, yeah.
It's a pixely little walkie adventure, and honestly, the art style is beautiful. Just walking around the underground is wonderful. Characters all look great. The world looks great. The buildings look great. The textures look great. It really does. It's a pixely adventure, but it looks great for what they give you. But where I think the art really shines is in the battle sequences with the main characters, where you have to either once again kill them or befriend them. That's where the art style really kicks in, because Toby gets so creative with how those battles go. And it's stunning. It's beautiful. I love the art style. It's different, but it's got its own elegance to it.
That's where the photosensitive warning comes in too, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Be warned if you are epileptic.
Very fast flashing lights everywhere during the battles.
Especially with the character called Metaton. Speaking of the characters, though, you have a case of silent protagonists, so the character that you are is the least interesting character in the game, unless you go with the genocide route, to be honest. But if you decide to do the fluffy, nice, pacifist route, your character is honestly pretty boring. He doesn't say or do anything. He or she. They're supposed to be a unisex character that doesn't have a gender, so that you can kind of put yourself in the place of the character. The real shining moments are all the characters you meet. Toriel, Papyrus, Sans, Undyne, Alphys, all the characters. I'm missing a couple big ones there, like Metaton, but the characters are all hysterical. The characters are just, their personalities are so colorful and fun. Sans and Papyrus are hysterical. The first hour of the game is hilarious because of those two characters. It is so funny. And that's really what I have to say about the characters are, there's not a ton of them, but they're so fleshed out. And even the side characters, they're amazing. The story of Undertale is essentially, you're a human that lives on the surface, and you accidentally fall down this hole in the ground, and you find out that underneath the crust of the earth is a civilization of monsters. They were once on top of the earth with you, but the humans forced them into this hole, and now they're all trying to find a way to get back to the surface. So a lot of the monsters want to kill you as the human. There's a lot of monsters that just like having you around too. It's essentially the story of the game is you're just trying to find your way back home, and at the same time the monsters are trying to find a way back to the surface. And I won't spoil too much if you haven't played it, but you're a big part of them getting back to the surface, and that's what creates a lot of the drama. Gameplay, it's a walking simulator when you're not in battle, and when you're in battle, the battle is very flashy, it's very fun. Like I said, the pacifist route is very unique in that you don't actually have to kill anything, but instead you can find ways in the battle mechanics to befriend people instead. It's so unique and it's so fun. That's what gives the game its real magic. My final thoughts on the game is this started off as an indie gem that kind of became a phenomenon in its own way because of its insanely quirky and fun characters, its hysterical and creative gameplay, and the fun little adventure. And honestly, it only takes 6 to 8 hours to get through the game too. It's pretty short. But it's a 6 to 8 hours you're not going to forget. It's a wonderful game. I had a great time playing it, and that's why I don't remember where it was in my top 10. I think it was 5, but it is more than deserving of that spot. If you love those types of games and you haven't tried Undertale, you're missing out. If I had to give the game a score, it would get a 9.2 out of 10.
Ooh.
I know, starting this off pretty strong. And yeah, so what do you guys think of my explanation, first of all? Is that something you think you'd like to try?
I would love to try it. It sounds really interesting and a different game than you're used to, which is always a good thing, just stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new.
Absolutely. And Czar, it's $10-15 on the Switch. If you wanted to give it a go, you could.
Oh yeah, I've thought about getting it several times. It just always passes my mind when I'm actually in the market looking for games.
That's fair.
It's in my backlog.
It has been for a couple years now, hasn't it, Zach?
You have the game.
Bitch.
Leave me alone.
All right, now Rate That Rating isn't just about us giving our detailed opinions and a score for the game. It's seeing what other people have to say as well. So that being said, let's go to Metacritic together and see how this game did. Undertale received a 7.9 out of 10.
Woof.
User score.
A user score, a 7.9 out of 10.
The Metacritic score was more accurate to what you said.
The Metacritic score is a 93, but this is about the user score, because the fun part about this is seeing what people have to say. So as for the score, I gave this a 9.2. They gave it a 7.9. To be honest, I'm not that surprised, because even though I loved Undertale for what it was, a lot of people didn't understand it as much, or they weren't as patient with the game. You know me. For me, it's all about the story. So some people just didn't understand that or feel the same way. I'm not surprised to see a score like this. But I think with that said, let's take a look at some of the comments and see what people have to say. And as always, we'll start with the positive ones. Cathilsco? Whatever. This one guy, he said, Undertale has everything to be a good game. People are endearing and funny. The atmosphere is nice. The music is beautiful. In short, the game is a masterpiece. If you are a fan of RPGs, I advise you to strongly try it. I forgot to mention the music. The music is magical in the game. It really is. One of the best soundtracks I think I've heard in a game in a while.
Yeah, Toby Fox killed it. He killed it so much. He helped direct some of the Pokemon music.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, Toby Fox was invited to direct some of Pokemon's music because of how good of a job he did.
And he did the Battle Tower theme, and that shit's popping. I'm like, I jam out to that thing. I've heard it like a million times.
That is popping, dude. Greninja X said, I only played this game to see if it was as good as the insane fans say it is. In the end, I don't think Undertale is very good as a video game, but it's more of just something you experience. So is it worth experiencing? Yeah, it really is. That was a weird review.
It's really interesting, though. I mean,
came in like he was gonna punch it in the nuts, and he goes, "But it's pretty good."
But it's pretty good. He gave it an 8 out of 10. JJ from Texas said, Undertale is unlike any game I've ever played. Highly recommend for everyone. I strongly suggest you go in blind. Don't read anything about it or watch any videos, if you can help it. Just remember, you don't have to kill anyone. Also features one of the best soundtracks of this generation. Just play it. Yep. I mean, that pretty much sums up what's great about the game.
Another boast about the music, and yeah, as you mentioned, you don't have to kill everyone.
Yep, pretty much. JJ from Texas gave it a 9 out of 10. So a lot of people agree with me, obviously, from what we're seeing with these positive scores, but that's not the fun part. The fun part is seeing the negative things that people have to say.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into this. And this is also the part that makes you the most angry.
I can see JP foaming.
Oh, Danik882010 gave the game a 1 out of 10.
Woof.
I played this game with the high expectations because of its positive reviews. I know many people love this game, but it's not for everyone. I was very disappointed in the story, the humor, and combat mechanics of this game. I think it is way overhyped. The best thing I can say about this game is that it's charming. It has good characters, and it has good music.
Another good boast for the music, but I would also like to say you can't go into anything you do in your life with high expectations because you'll always be disappointed.
The funny thing about the last time Zach and I was doing this is, so this guy gave it a 1 out of 10. A 1 out of 10 is literally an unplayable video game. Not something with a bad story, something with no story. Something you can't even play. Literally, something that you try and play and it's so broken and glitchy, it won't play. That's a 1 out of 10. This guy had good things to say about the game, that it's charming and has good characters and it has good music. That's at least a 5, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah,
right? Am I crazy?
Yeah, I'm glad JP said that because like this stuff, it makes my blood curdle. Like I agree with you. I love hearing different opinions and different thoughts, but if you're gonna rate a game, at least know how games are rated.
Yeah, right? The game's charming, it has good characters, and it has good music. But I didn't like the story. 1 out of 10.
Right? You were able to play the game, weren't you?
Exactly.
It didn't just crash on you.
This is making I'm sweating a little bit.
Will you read Rarpar?
Sorry?
Rarpar. Will you read Rarapar's review?
Yeah, heck yeah, I can. So Rarapar gave it a 4 out of 10. Undertale has some unique mechanics which are interesting, such as the minigame you play to mitigate any damage you receive. However, for an RPG, the storyline seemed overly simple and the humor is fairly basic. I found this game underwhelming after reading all the extremely positive comments, especially if you consider that all of the time writing, it's almost ranked the same by players as Zelda Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart. I'm a big fan of 8-bit games, but I wouldn't recommend this to a friend. I mean, for the battle mechanics are what make it fun. That's why this game is special. It sounds like he's pissed off that this isn't just another rip and tear RPG.
Oh yeah, it's unique, and that's exactly what it meant to do. Also, he's trying to rank this game alongside Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart, which are AAA titles. This was an indie game. You can't rank those the same.
That's a great point.
It's a third the price as those games too.
Absolutely.
At least he was more fair with his review. A 4 out of 10. I mean, do I think that's still a dumb review? Yes. But is it as stupid as giving the game a 1? Absolutely not. All right. One more bad review, I think. Oh, I hate this. I hate this. It always sounds like a good idea to rate that rating until you actually do it. It's okay. At least I get to listen to you two next. So, one last review from Macharger 2000. He gave the game a 2 out of 10. This game is a 2D graphics, 8-bit level, low resolution, RPG-like text-based adventure. This means that choices and story are mainly told by the text. Yeah.
They're completely told by the text.
The RPG combat mechanics is to the bone, few parameters to control and few weapons. Everything boils down to clicking a moving bar with a good timing and attack and avoiding to be hit by pixel-sized bullets coming at you in defense. The storyline is the most basic and usual escape the dungeon stuff. There are a few riddle puzzles here and there of the level search the switch to open the door. Music is repetitive, pretty boring game. This is the first time I've seen someone say something bad about the music.
Yeah. I mean, even the bad reviews were saying that it had good music. So I'm really confused why he says that the music is repetitive.
The game is a 2D graphics. Low resolution. That's what 2D games are, you know?
That's the art style. That's what it's supposed to be. I mean, what were you expecting from an indie developer?
It sounded like his comment was going in a positive sense, but then all of a sudden he just stamps it with a 2 out of 10. So basically he's saying the game is unplayable.
Yeah, precisely. Like one little step above unplayable. And you know what this is ultimately about is people just have a bad opinion. Like, it's not their kind of game, so they just give it a shit review. That's what makes me mad. You know, like, what's a game I hate that everybody loves? I don't know. You could, like, sports games, for example. I hate sports games, but I mean, like, I can be objective enough to give a sports game a real rating because I'm not dumb.
And that's what it all boils down to, is objectifying a game, not letting your own personal bias destroy the gameplay for you. You have to come at it with a fresh perspective, like you've never seen this before, and that is how you rate it.
Exactly. All right, well, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm disappointed, I'm also not surprised.
I'm loving every second of this. Zara, your turn.
Oh my god. We'll see how much you like it when it's your turn to do this.
Yeah.
So, the game I am rating a rating on this week is Alice Madness Returns. Now, reoccurring listeners will remember that this made my top 10 list, so I'm really excited to talk about it.
Well, let's hear it, my man.
Alrighty, so I am interested in this game because a callback to me being such a dark individual, this game is dark. It is a manipulation and a mutilation of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Basically, where Alice is sent to an asylum and she's bat guano bonkers and everything is just messed up. So that is right up my alley, which leads me to talk about the graphics and art style. The graphics are beautiful. It is Wonderland with a dark twist. Everything looks shiny and nice and whimsical until you look at the finer details and you find a statue of Alice crying blood, and you see these bastardized characters of the characters that you know and love from the Disney movie in shambles and just anorexic to the bone, dripping with blood.
Oh my God.
It is beautiful. It really is. It's creepy, but it's beautiful. And the landscapes are just amazing. There is so much detail that goes into what you would expect to see Wonderland. Because that's where the biggest selling point of this is it is Wonderland in all of its beauty, but with a dark twist. The characters are who you'd expect. You know, you got Alice, you got Cheshire Cat, you got the Mad Hatter, you got all of them, but they are all a reverse mirror of themselves. Cheshire Cat, it looks like a dead cat, basically.
Right.
Skin and bones, that's it, with a really creepy smile with a little bit of blood on the teeth. The Mad Hatter looks like an overgrown garden gnome, just gnarled and wrinkly, and they are hilarious. And in fact, I quote Cheshire Cat today. One of my favorite quotes from the game is, "Change denotes neither good nor bad. It simply means not the same." That's deep, and it impacts me very well. Now, the main character, Alice, as I said, she gets sent to an asylum because she believed caused the house fire that basically killed her entire family. And that's why she goes to Wonderland, because it's all a psychosis-induced dream state where she feels like she can be okay and not have to deal with the reality of murdering her own family. Also leads into the story as a recently released insane asylum patient. Basically, she is trying to find her place in the world and trying to figure out if her memories serve her justice. Was it her that killed her family with this fire? And by doing so, she travels across basically, I think it's 1800s London, and with a few breaks of the main chunk of the game by diving into Wonderland. And through each episode of the game, when you go to Wonderland, as soon as she comes out of Wonderland, beats the boss, basically slaughters the boss in the bloodiest way possible, she wakes up from a basically drug-induced coma some random place in London. She wakes up at an old-fashioned brothel. She wakes up on a rooftop and in just the nastiest places that you could imagine in London. But she escapes those grim, dark London realities by entering her own Wonderland. But as she dives deeper and deeper into Wonderland, it becomes darker. I think the last episode, most of your enemies are dismantled and mangled dolls that bleed. Yeah, they're really creepy, and there's dissected mice and insects and other such characters all across the scenario. It's crazy. Now, the gameplay is where this game really shines. It is an action-adventure platformer that if you thought the double jump was pretty cool, well, let me introduce a triple jump and a hover. Your main goal is to try to platform your way across all of these giant gaps by floating and triple jumping. And so as a platformer, it's really good. And the fighting mechanics are very fluid. It is comparable, I would say, of a cross between Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. You can do the spin around enemies, backslash, and all of these other fancy moves, and you get several different weapons like the hobby horse, which is basically a horse's head mounted on a stick like you would ride as a child.
Yeah.
Of course, you get the Vorpal Blade, the only thing that could ever kill the Jabberwocky. But you also get the Pepper Grinder, which is an oversized pepper grinder that fires a flurry of bullets at enemies. And it just makes the combat really fluid and very excellent to play. It's a very easy game to pick up and so immersive.
Wow, I kind of want to play this now.
Oh, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun, which also kind of explains the game mechanics. There are some puzzle elements to it, like you have to run around and go collect some pieces of a puzzle, go back to the main spot and arrange the puzzle so you can move on to the next area, and so on and so forth. other than the normal platforming across jumps and such like that. And my final thoughts, I would have to say this game is fantastic. If you are interested in a creative, unique experience, Spicy Horse delivers.
Spicy Horse.
Yeah, that is the name of the game company that made this game, is Spicy Horse. And they delivered a powerhouse of immersive scenery and settings to fluid gameplay and really not over the top easy platforming, but challenging enough to compel you to keep going in the game. And I should also mention that half of the cutscenes are done in the game engine, but there is a select few cutscenes that are done in almost like a 2D puppet theater, where you have paper cutouts of all the characters and jumping around the screen, interacting with each other. And that just, to me, screams Wonderland. This game is exactly what Alice's Nightmares would be, and I love it. So my score for this game, I would have to give it 9 out of 10. I think this game is unique enough, and it is fresh enough, and it has all of the monumental aspects that a platforming action adventure game would contain.
Yeah.
That it deserves a good rating, because it's not like anything you've ever seen.
This game sounds so creepy, and I kind of love it. I don't know. Zach, are you terrified? Are you even still alive?
Yeah, no, I'm just hanging back. I'm just, a little scared.
Would you say that this game puts you on edge?
Nah.
I was hoping you said yes, because I had a Cheshire quote segue.
Oh, do it. No, yes.
Perfect. Because when you're not on edge, you're taking up too much space.
Boo.
Oh, come on. That was one of my favorite quotes from the game. It's in the trailer.
Dude, I know we said we were going to have Zach play a horror game. Screw Outlast. We should have him play this.
It is an LSD-fueled horror trip.
What's it for?
It is for basically everything. I think it's Xbox, PC, and I think it might be on the PlayStation.
We'll have to run it on my PC one of these days. My great PC. Have I told you guys about my great PC?
Every week about the PC.
God damn with this PC, man.
All right. Well, Zara, you've had your fun, and it's going to go on for only a little bit longer. Are you ready to go over to Metacritic and see what we're dealing with here?
I am ready. Okay, so the Metacritic user score is an 8.4 out of 10.
Okay.
Really close to what I said. So that's actually pretty comforting that a lot of the fans decided what I decided.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was a hell of a lot closer than mine.
Yeah, that's fair. I did not imagine that little of a gap between my rating and theirs.
I imagine that Alice Madness Returns is because I mean, like, it's not a huge title by any means, but it's probably got its own little cult following, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely could be considered a cult classic. Not a lot of people know about it, but everybody should. And if you can even see the title cover for the game, like Alice is covered in blood holding a knife.
Yeah, Jesus, man. All right. Do you want to start with some of the positive reviews and start our way from there?
All right, let's jump into these positive reviews. Let's see what people had to say good about the game.
All righty.
So the first one at the very top, Aid Gynavel.
How are people in these things naming themselves with random word generators? Oh my God.
We'll just go with Gynavel. Gynavel says, oh my God, never mind. Holy shit.
This thing is long. He wrote a book for a response. He gave it a 10 out of 10.
Gave it a perfect 10, so that's cool, but I don't think you need to defend it that much. Oh my God, all of these are expand.
Based on what I was seeing, it's kind of just they're echoing what you said, Czar. They really like it's out there, like, decisions.
I think so, but I will go to the first shortest review that we can find. Wook White Wolf. Wook White Wolf says the sequel isn't as good as the first one, nothing new and innovative about the game, but American McGee's Alice doesn't revolve around that. It's about the atmosphere. Today, you can rarely find a game with a concept like this. Horror psychological motives are well executed and quite fun. The intro video especially, I say it just for that, it deserves a 10. That's confusing to me.
Why is that?
Because most of the review didn't sound super positive, so I would have expected Wook White Wolf to give it like a 7. Because he didn't like the sequel as much as the first, but no, gave it a perfect 10.
I mean, we talked last in my review about how people don't know how to rate a game, giving things like a 1 out of 10, but I guess it could go the other way.
I think this proves that it could go the other way, because what Wook White Wolf said sounds like a 7, but gave it a 10. I appreciate it.
Exactly. Nothing new or innovative about the gameplay. 10 out of 10.
Which I would disagree with, because it took the first game's gameplay, which, by the way, I should mention that if you get Alice Madness Returns, you automatically get American McGee's Alice, the first game, just as an extra tab within the game. So it's cool that the game, for no extra charge, lets you play the first game.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, but I would disagree that the gameplay is not innovative, because they changed the game tremendously from the first to second.
Absolutely.
All right, so next is Kote. They gave it a 10 out of 10. And they said, cannot comment on mouse controls as I use a 360 pad, but this game is good fun. I really wasn't expecting much from it, being Alice in Wonderland, and made me being someone narrow-minded, but I really had fun playing this game. It is not the most taxing game in the world, but for a 3D platformer, it's fun, yo.
It's fun, yo.
Yo, Kote, I agree.
I feel like JP's super salty right now because these are the most like high scores, positive reviews, quick to the point.
You know, yeah, but you know what? At the same time, if I recall, my last Rate That Rating games did pretty well. So you know what? You win some, you lose some.
And everyone out there should check out the comments on Metacritic for themselves, because I have skipped a lot of these positive reviews because they're novels. They're like 5 or 6 paragraphs of why this game is good, and we just don't have time for that.
Well, you've had your fun. Time to move to the negative stuff, Czar.
I got one more. All right, so we'll do a not perfect 10, and this is from Robotic Sun?
Robotic Sun.
Oh my God, I am an idiot. Robotic Sun gave it an 8 out of 10. It's a shame that how biased and ignorant video game journalism is nowadays. The gameplay is formulaic. I cannot pronounce words. Yo. Just combining a standard third-person action and old-school platformer. All COD games are the same. What say you? 9, 10, invisible walls? You know, almost every game has them. Long chapters and hidden collectibles make it a lengthy adventure. Now the game length may be long. And hidden elements are disadvantageous. My opinion about the game, Alice Madness Returns, is a beautiful, twisted art style and atmosphere. And that is all I will say about that, because it goes on a little bit. But I agree. I think that is a very fair and accurate rating.
Sure.
Nailed the points. I don't think there's much else to say about that. But let's get into the actual interesting part of this.
Yeah.
The negative reviews.
Yes.
Starting off,
Whoa, a 0 out of 10?
Let's do that one. Dr. Gulag gave it a 0 out of 10. Way too long and repetitive. People who rate this game a 10 have to be out of their minds. How can you sit through such boring gameplay? You have seen everything after the first few hours. It never gets refreshing after that. Sure, some of the stages have been designed nicely, but it's always the same. Jump, push a switch, kill enemies, repeat ad nauseum.
That was pretty brutal.
That was very brutal. And while I can kind of agree, the gameplay is a little repetitive. You know, it is jump, push, switch, kill enemies. But that's what an action-adventure platformer is. This guy gave it a 0.
A 0?
Because he didn't like the game. Not because the game was broken and he would die unfairly and enemies were too tough to kill. No, just because you have to jump, push a switch, and kill enemies on repeat gave it the worst possible score there is.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know you could give things a 0 out of 10.
I didn't think so either.
I thought 1 was the lowest.
That is 100% not fair in my opinion.
That is so funny.
That's just terrifying.
Does that make your blood boil, Czar?
A little bit. Oh my God, all
Yeah.
of these people wrote novels.
Let's check out what Fuzz had to say.
Yeah, let's do Fuzz. Fuzz gave it a 2 out of 10. Black bars on a 4.3 are an abomination, and the terrible mouse controls are very uncomfortable and make me feel ill to the point that I can't play this game at all. Too bad. The art direction seems very good. So, dear developers, please learn how to program a decent control system.
Now, there's something you didn't talk about. Did you think the controls in the game suck?
No, but I would have to guess that Fuzz was playing on PC.
So when he says black bars on a 4:3, what he's talking about is old style ratios instead of the normal 16:9 we're used to now. Is this game really that old?
It is that old, but I mean, when I bought it for console, it didn't have black bars. It is full screen.
Interesting.
So I can't say much for PC, but apparently the mouse controls are very bad. And I can understand Fuzz's rating considering that the game was broken for him. He or she literally could not play the game because of the controls.
See, that's justifiable. That's where you can justify putting that low of a score, is literally if the game's unplayable.
And yeah, didn't say anything about other gameplay, enemies, or difficulty. The game was unplayable for this person, and that's why they rated it bad.
Oh, for God's sakes.
I mean, when I think unplayable, I'm thinking like buggies and stuff. Like, I don't know, controls being bad. Like, if you can still move your character and things, I still want to get something as low as a 2, but I guess that's up to everyone else.
Yeah, 2's still pretty low, but I guess relative to that 0 we just saw.
Yeah.
Keep going, Czar. Keep crying.
Let's find one that is not. Okay, all of these are expandable. All right, that one's not too long. We'll do Azazello. They gave it a 1 out of 10. Okay, the game has good atmosphere, idea, but I really like the game until I complete about 4%. But after this, I want to punch the creators in the nose. Damn. The controls on PC are just horrible, and system of checkpoints piss you off. They give you too little marge to error and are wasting time in useless tries to pass a few steps just for fail in the next step and return to beginning of the level and repeat it again. Frack! I want to enjoy the game. It's supposed to be the game that is diversion and a pleasure pastime, not for an uncomfortable one.
Wow, this guy's grammar sucks.
There was some terrible grammar. I think there was a bit of a language barrier there. That was hard to read.
Okay, but what I find interesting is he's not the first one to bring up the PC controls being horrible.
So apparently you don't play this game on a PC. Like I said, I played it on the Xbox, so I had zero trouble with the controls. They were fluid and very easy to control. Apparently for PC, it's just completely broken.
Sounds like it.
I don't understand what they're saying about the checkpoints pissing them off.
It sounds like a problem for people who suck at games.
It really does, because even if I died, you start back pretty much exactly where you left off. I mean, if you're going across a platforming jump, you might start at the beginning of the platforming, but look at Mario. You die, you start the level over.
Don't talk shit on Mario, Czar. I'm watching you. You want to see a scary movie, you bitch? I'll show you a scary movie.
Frack!
Oh my!
They just wanted to enjoy the game.
Frack. That's so funny. Frack. Frack. I'm gonna start yelling that.
Frack. Honestly, in conclusion of all of these bad reviews, it really just sounds like the PC controls were just unplayable. And that's about it.
Honest to God, if there's something that people are saying over and over again, I mean, there's got to be some substance to that argument.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, if he's not the only person talking about the PC control sucking, maybe it does suck.
So, I guess all in all, don't get it for the PC, buy it for a console. I think you'll have a great time.
Oh, I think Czar has suffered enough. Zachary, I believe it's your turn.
All right, so this is interesting because I don't know, like Zara, this is one of my just all-time favorite video games. I think it came in number 3 on my list, so it's up there.
Okay.
So the game I'll be talking about this week is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I was interested in this game, kind of just, the Switch just came out in 2017. This was like the last big game to come out on the Switch. It came out December, I think it was December 1st. It was like right there on that Friday, first week of December. And basically, I just finished Mario Odyssey. I was bored. I wanted the game to pick up. And I was like, this is the game I want. Just took a shot in the dark. And that's kind of just why I picked up the game. Little did I know this would probably become one of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So graphically, it is kind of like your anime-looking JRPG. It's a gorgeous game, especially on the Switch in handheld mode. I just think the anime makes it really pop out. It kind of feels like you're playing an anime at times.
Right on.
And I think that is just really cool about it. You're basically on these things called Titans, and they're basically like, it's the Earth, like 7 or 8 different Titans that are constantly moving through what's basically a cloud-like sea. There's limited space of the planet, and everyone is basically vying for control over these Titans so that they have space for their people to live. And so obviously as the population increases, things are running out of space and things are becoming war. And so it's kind of segueing into the story.
So are these Titans sentient?
Yep. So they're alive, they're moving, they can battle each other.
That's really cool.
And what's really cool is while you're going around these giant, gorgeous vistas, you can see like the head of the Titan moving up and down, the tail's moving, the arms moving. And it's never like annoying to where it moves, like it kicks you off of it. It's just like breathtaking to see like it move and all those cool things. Like literally there's just times I played the game for over 200 hours. Every now and then I just look over and I'm like, yep, there's my buddy. He's moving up there. I just think it's good.
Sounds beautiful.
I'm a big animal lover, so I don't know. This is kind of how I see it. It's like I'm riding. I used to have Saint Bernards growing up, and so like I don't know. When I was like young as shit, like 7 years old, I'd ride on my big old doggos and like that. And so that's kind of how I see it.
This is almost nostalgic for you.
Yeah, super euphoric almost at that point. Characters wise, and that's what I want to go into. So Rex is your super naive protagonist. Rex, through sheer luck, it's not luck once you go later into the story, but basically falls into the super sword known as the Aegis. And it's basically like, I guess I want to describe it because it doesn't sound as cool, but you get these super cool swords called blades. But basically what they amount to in the grand scheme of things is they're like Pokemon. And you basically get Mewtwo as your first Pokemon.
What the?
Damn.
I shouldn't say Mewtwo because it evolves too, but like at the end of the day, it's so overpowered. But like, and that's kind of where it's like got the anime art style to it, because it's like Dragon Ball Z. Like your blade has like power levels, and when it hits that final power level, shit hits the fan. I was telling JP, it was like you're playing a cinematic, but like you're actually in complete control of the cinematic, and that's how like over the top some of these fights get. Like you're literally playing an anime at certain points.
That's crazy. And the title makes sense now, Alien Blades.
Right, absolutely. And so Rex is your super naive protagonist, and he finds this super awesome Pokemon like blade. And what's kind of the big thing that I think discourages people from getting into it is, as it's a JRPG, there is definitely an over-sexualization of women. I mean, like that is something that I don't know, it made me feel uncomfortable at first. Rex, so Pyra is the blade, starts off as a fire blade, and she has got the bootiest booty shorts I have ever seen in my life. And I'm not gonna deny it, like she is thick, all right? And like the booty shorts are things, and like I don't know, I've never been a person who like
Wait. How many C's?
like 500, dude. No.
Oh my god.
Yo. Frack.
And I've actually seen some character studies on this, and it kind of goes with her character and how she's insecure and stuff like that. And I don't know if I want to put it in that way, because I'm gonna get like some angry. No matter what, there's someone who's gonna be angry about it. And then she's super busty too. Her boobs are bigger than like my head. Like it's pretty out there. And it's got a very prolific art style to it.
A sword with booty and a butt.
Maybe I will play this game later.
I'll be honest. I mean, it's definitely an over-the-top art style, and it definitely has kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Donkey ripped it a new one. He's like, and he's immediately unimmersed from this game. And I can see that. But as someone who grew up on, like, I watched Bleach, and if you know anything about Bleach, Orihime has like ginormous tits. So it's just something that, like, I don't know, it's just for some reason Japanese art styles really like to accentuate the boobs, and it's like, that's okay, I guess. No, I mean, if that'll turn you off, I get it. But needless to say,
It might
Pyra,
actually turn a lot of people on.
right? If you can get past that, Pyra really is a badass woman. Like, I mean, they definitely over-sexualized her, but she has a great art style, and I would almost argue that Pyra is the main character because you see her grow from this very insecure, and there's a reason she's insecure. It's not like this like girl who just starts off insecure. Like there's things that happen to her, and you do such a good job. Character, like the characterization in this story is top notch. Pyra turns into this super independent badass woman who I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, she just turns into this awesome character with the help of Rex. And like basically the entire thing is how a relationship can bring out the best in people. And it has to be like positive. And so
That sounds like a really great moral.
it is a really great moral, and while I can see why people would get turned off from that art style, I really think it adds to the game. And I don't want to sound like a perv, all right? So I'm trying to really make it.
Oh, that ship has sailed, Zach.
You lost us at thick.
That's basically the graphics, the characters, and the story. Like there's so much that goes on, and they tie it together in such a way that it's not this gross thing. It's like a beautiful story that tells such a great narrative where you see all these characters grow, and every character that's in like the main party has this ginormous chapter that makes them like you root for every single one of these characters.
And that sounds like pretty much every anime out there. You know, once you get past the boobs and butt, you actually get to know the characters. It's just kind of that aesthetic that's there that you expect with any anime.
JRPGs are really great with character development, honestly. Persona 5, I love the characters in Persona 5, for example.
Right. If you're really an introspective person, and I consider myself pretty introspective, you're going to love this game. Just seeing how the characters just grow, and it's just like you really bond with these characters. I cried like 3 or 4 times during this game. It's really that good.
Damn.
I don't know. It just, yeah, it really hooked with me. I don't know. And so this goes into the gameplay now. I played a lot of World of Warcraft, as you guys know. And so I was reading some of the reviews on this, not Metacritic reviews, just reviews in general before I bought it. And it was compared to WoW a lot. It's got a very MMORPG kind of style.
Yeah.
You sit still and you do auto attacks. Your auto attacks, they build up to these things called arts. Your arts are like your special moves.
Okay.
After you build up enough special moves, you get these things called like just a special. And so once you get a special, there are a certain element. So it could be fire, wind, all that basic normal stuff when it comes to magic.
Okay.
And then with those specials, those lead into a chain attack. And basically you want to use those elements that you build up these orbs when you use these specials, and they get these like orbs around them. And then you want to use the opposite element to make those orbs explode for massive damage.
Okay.
And it sounds like a lot, and it kind of is. Like the first 10 hours are you learning just how intricate this combat system is. It is scary. I think that's where most people get turned off from the Xenoblade things. But I want you to know, like once you learn the combat system, it's not hard. It's not something you have to do every time. I mean, if you're going to go to like the legendary difficulty in the game, yeah, you're going to have to get good. But if you're just playing it for the story, like you can be fine with the basic understanding of it.
Right.
So I'm playing it for my 3rd time now, and I just now realized, and I had a good time. Obviously, I loved it. And I'm just now realizing that if you do it every time, you do get some pretty crazy rewards. Like if you do these combat things, it gives you like special rewards, you get more experience, all these things, but it doesn't punish you for not always using the most perfect combat system. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So game mechanic wise, it's got a lot of those RPG tropes. You can do a ton of side quests. The story is just so engrossing that's kind of what I did my first playthrough. I just went through the story. And there was one thing that I really hated that I could see why people won't like it, but they basically gate you off until you get certain talents for your blades.
Right.
And I didn't really, so the blades are like the Pokemon. You got to build up like their affinity chart, and they all learn the moves. But what I didn't realize until like 40 hours of the playthrough is you have to check on their talent chart or it won't go to the next one.
Oh.
Oh.
I was super mad when I first learned that, and I feel like it told me there, but like you're learning so much that that learning curve can be kind of discouraging, I think, at certain points. So with all that said, God, I feel like I just talked forever.
It's okay. It's okay. I've loved hearing about it, honestly. It sounds great.
Oh, absolutely. Like this is your spotlight.
It's a big game, and I cannot say it enough. If you put in the time for this game and you love like anime stories that are over the top and you love character development, this is a 10 out of 10 game. I really believe that.
Is that your score? 10 out of 10?
That would be my personal score, yes.
Damn.
I would give this thing a 10 out of 10 I can literally go back and you guys know how impatient I am. I can go back and play this game and just smile every now and then. I don't know what it is. It just had that certain magic with me. But if I was like an average person, I would give it like an 8.5 or 9 out of 10. Because there are some things like that talent system can really piss you off, because that can stop you from going the story later down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And then the combat, it has a learning curve. Those things, I would give it confidently an 8.5 out of 10. I say it's worth a 9 out of 10, but personally, I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
That's still a really high score. And
Absolutely.
From what you've said, I think the game deserves it. Did you put 200 hours into a single gameplay, or is it 200 hours across all your saves?
So I think when I finished the main story, and keep in mind that I did do some side story elements and goof around a little bit, I think I was about like 65 to 70 hours.
Wow.
That's a good chunk.
And then I completed it. Like I literally got all the Pokemon blades basically, and I maxed all of them out because it was just so much fun. Like they have little cutscenes for each like Pokemon, and they have like their own little stories, and some are more deep than others. But at the end of the day, if you like one if there's like a blade that you really like, you can make all of them like just as strong as that initial blade that I talked about. Like you can make them all like Mewtwo basically.
All right, Zach, enough stalling. I think it's time to go look at the Metacritic score.
Okay. Sorry.
All right.
Years and years.
I don't have years and years.
Fair enough. All right. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has an 83 Metascore and an 8.7 user score.
You know what? You were really close.
You were the closest.
Yeah, you were. You were the closest of the three of us. That's amazing. Why don't we start by going over some of the positive scores?
All right, Shatter NL gave it a 10 out of 10. Monolith being part of Nintendo is fantastic. Every game coming from this dev house is a stunning masterpiece. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is no different. This game is an emotional journey with ups and downs, all fantastic. It's also a powerhouse production-wise that shows what the little Switch can do. Highly recommended for all JRPG fans and people that love a fantastic fantasy story.
I didn't realize that Monolith made the game. I'm looking at Monolith games right now because I have played several of them.
This is really even getting me going. Like Zach gave me this game for my birthday a couple weeks ago. And yeah, like I'm like, maybe I should pop it in. I mean, you had me at thick with 3 C's, but
shit, Monolith made Shadow of Mordor.
Really?
Condemned Criminal Origins and Bloodshot. Fear.
They made Fear?
They made all the Fear games. I knew I recognized Monolith somewhere.
All right.
That is crazy to me.
That is, yeah, that's quite the track record right there. So, you know what? Honestly, Xenoblade 2 being as popular as it is, that's not surprising in the least.
Yeah, if you like JRPGs, you're going to like this. Okay, so Rockswin, you love JRPG? This is a must-buy for you. Complex gameplay, but it's easy to master. A huge world to explore filled with a lot of content, and the characters are so well designed and fully detailed. 70 plus hours of pure exploration and amazing battles throughout. The story, everything will just get better and better.
And that was another 10 out of 10. Wonderful.
Another 10 out of 10.
Most of these are 10 out of 10s.
I would say that if you can stand the JRPG, you're gonna get hooked on this.
Most of these people are completely agreeing with you. Geez, there's a 9. Finally, a reasonable person.
Like I said, Monolith can tell some good stories. All right, anyway, so I'll stop getting off my own ego here. Pablo Designs gave it a 9 out of 10. I'm not a fan of Japanese RPGs, but this game surprised me. I don't even like anime. Oh, sir, where are you? No. But I don't hate the character design. In fact, I like most of the character designs in this game. Some of them are quite generic, but it's not something to really worry about. The story is great, the art style too. The combat has more depth than I expected, but I still prefer the other type of combat styles. The exploration is nice, and the music is fucking gorgeous. Okay, guys, I didn't even talk about the music. Oh my gosh. All right, I won't even, but yeah, Pablo Designs is right. Music is great. It's not a 10 because some characters are generic. While it has a nice combat style, it's not the best for me. Subjective, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate the clumsy animations when they are talking in a cutscene. They are like robots. The only good thing about this is I don't look at them all the time because I'm busy reading the subtitles. And this is another thing. I know it's gonna be the negative things. The English dub is, in most cases, desync and pure trash. This thing definitely has the case of, you could tell it was made for Japanese voice acting in its cutscenes, and there's a lot of cutscenes. So I definitely recommend playing with Japanese subs, but some people you can't do that. It's not the worst voice acting in the world, but I play with Japanese voice and I enjoyed it much more that way.
Still, that wasn't a game breaker for him even. And you know what? I understand that completely. I played Kakarot, DBZ Kakarot a while ago. That was one of my huge complaints too, was like, you can tell that the English is just off sometimes. All right, Zach, enough fracking stalling. It is time to look at it's time to look at some of the bad reviews. Frack.
All right, I'm gonna try and play it cool here. Oh, Phoenix, TLDR, too long didn't read. This game isn't as good as it should have been. It has a blatant disregard for the player's time and the mixed bag that design / character / story keeps it from being fun. So, Oh, Phoenix complained about the MMO style RPG combat. So yeah, it's very deep combat.
Mm-hmm.
He also complained that in the starting area, now this is annoying, and I will agree with him on this one. There are some mobs. There's a level, you start out level 1, obviously. There's a level, I think it's 83 Territorial Rotbart, which is a giant gorilla.
What the
He will
hell?
find you. You will hear this epic boss music playing. You're like, what's going on? And then you're dead.
You just see a giant health bar appear and you're like, oh my God.
Holy frack, what is that?
At that moment, I agree. It will kill you. You will be salty. It even happened to me. I'm 200 plus hour veteran, and I had a level 92 dinosaur come out of nowhere and kill me. And I go, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You're not supposed to grind to kill that thing. You're supposed to come back later on after you're like beat the entire game to kill those things. You can, if you're being very observant, you can ignore those things and walk by them, but sometimes they honestly sneak up on you. So I don't even know how it happens, but it does happen.
How the hell does a level 90 boss sneak up on you?
It's like in the little baby starting zone. They're just level 90, just to come kill you.
Oh my God. Dude, he even mentioned what you said about Pyra being like just way too over sexualized.
Tron porn.
Oh, and when you die in Xenoblade, though, it's not a big deal. You don't lose any items. Nothing gets like broken or anything. You just start from the last place that you can fast travel to.
Honestly, I think that guy was pretty fair with his review because he seemed to go real in depth and he gave the game a 4 out of 10, which I think is starting to get more in the territory of like a decent game with flaws, with, you know, more flaws than good things about it, but still a reasonable score. Maybe not for this game.
It's a lot more accurate than a 0 or a 1.
Because I'm still seeing lots of 1s.
Right. All right. And so we'll go to Night 4 because he's got nice bullet points. Pros: incredible graphics, original story. Cons: combat is extremely repetitive and grindy. Some mechanics like cancel attacks are poorly named and are unintuitive. Cutscenes are too long and too plentiful. Plays like a single player MMO. Feels like a boring single player MMO. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I mean, those two go together, don't you think? But okay.
Well, if you're playing a JRPG, you could expect grind.
And long cutscenes. Like, what do you expect?
I personally look forward to the cutscenes, so I don't know. I can see where like that's a subjective opinion. So yeah, gave that one a 4 out of 10. Let's read this 1 out of 10. This will be the last one. All right, not much needs to be said. This game is a step down from previous games in almost every regard. Like, the visuals are generic. Okay, well, the last game was on the Wii. I guess it was on the Wii U, so maybe he's talking about that one. But I feel like he's talking about Xenoblade Chronicles, which is on the Wii, and that needs a glow up, which it's getting a glow up. The voice acting is subpar, English voice acting.
We saw that. We agree with that.
You can expect from any dub.
And the gameplay is just a sloppy mess. If you still have a Wii U, okay, this guy, okay, I'll give him this. I would recommend playing Xenoblade Chronicles X instead because it's not like you would want to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in handheld mode. Seriously, the visuals in handheld mode are just awful. And this came out in December 1st, 2017. Monolith is an awesome developer. So they released that like they said they would on December 1st, but they also updated the game with a few patches, and they did make it look a lot better in handheld mode than it first started. So they definitely made it look better than where DexMax originally played it. I don't know if that would have bumped his score out from a 1. It sounded like he was pretty set on giving it a pretty low score, but that is something to know that they did update this game a lot and make it even better alongside DLC.
That's just the thing, though, is even that did not warrant giving the game a 1 out of 10. I know we keep hitting that point, but these people do not know how to review games.
No. Not even a little bit. The 4s were reasonable. They had rationale behind them, but you can't just give a game a 1 because you don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a reference. We all know that Fallout 76 was a huge floppy mess from Bethesda, right?
A fracking man.
A fracking mess. I would still give that game a 4 or a 5 out of 10. You know, I mean, and that game was buggy and glitchy, and there wasn't a lot to do, and the controls weren't great, but it had a story. It was playable. Some people still had fun playing it.
Yeah, I had fun playing it. I have pretty much gotten to a level 200 character. I had fun, but I hated every step of the way. Still wouldn't give it a 1. Give it about a 4 or 5, like you said.
Exactly. You know, I mean, 1 is literally an unplayable game. Literally. Like, it won't work. And people think it's warranted to give games that, you know, sometimes they even have positive things to say about the game and they still give it a 1. Like, yeah, okay, the graphics were great and I liked the music and the characters were endearing, but it was a little grindy. 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Oh my God. Zach, are you okay?
Oh, I'm good. I just really want to throw in my spiel here. Xenoblade Chronicles is coming out May 29th. And if you just saw how passionate I was about this game, Xenoblade Chronicles apparently is even better story-wise. And I've managed to not get spoiled yet. And I am so excited to play that game. So it's a really big title to look forward to at the end of the month.
Oh my Lord. All right. I'm done being angry. I think I've had enough. What do you guys think?
I'm grumpled, but I'm still smiling.
Dude, my game had so many 10 out of 10s. I'm hyped right now, boys.
You're great. Yeah, it really did. It had the best reviews out of any game we talked about tonight.
And even the negative reviews weren't terrible. I mean, yeah, every game has those stupid 1s and 0s, but honestly, your reviews, bad and good, were the best out of all of them.
Oh yeah, by far. I think I probably got it the worst, honestly.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
It's really perception based. I feel like Metacritic is very like, if you see a toxic fan base, you want to attack it. It's kind of
that's what's funny about it though, is like watching these individuals who don't know how to rate things, try and rate things. That's why this is fun to do. Oh my God. And I hope they listen to the Game T podcast, you know, and just one day they listen to this episode and I don't know, that Wolf guy, whatever their stupid names are, just goes,
Luke Wolf White.
Yeah, he's like, hey, that's my comment, and they're making fun of me saying frack.
well, frack you, man.
Yeah, frack
you. I am going to continue to say frack for the end of my days.
Oh, dude, that's gonna stick. I think we should put that on a t-shirt.
Yes. Ever get the funds to make t-shirts, they're gonna say frack.
All right, guys, I think I have had enough for the day.
My heart can't take much more.
Literally and figuratively, I have had 2.5 Red Bulls today.
Oh my God. You're gonna have a heart attack.
I have a long day ahead of me today and tomorrow. I've been moving. It's been crazy. I'm still working. It's a lot. My good friend Red Bull will get me through this, heart attack or not.
We'll try to get some sleep.
No.
We will never sleep, because sleep is for the weak.
Thank you all so much for listening to another episode of the Game T podcast. It's been a great week with some great content. I've been enjoying it a lot. So get ready next week. We've got even more stuff coming your way. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all later.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.